Aloha. Welcome to another episode of Autism 51 here on Sparks 1524. I'm Nathaniel Miller. Before I say anything, just want to remind everybody who's watching this, I am not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a novelist and a retired chief petty officer. What I'm talking about here is my experiences with autism, living with it, and how I as a writer try to conceptualize it so one, I can work with it myself, but I can also explain it to other people. Never self-diagnose. If you think you might be autistic, it's okay to one thing to walk into your doctor's office and say, I think I am, I need to be screened. But don't self-diagnose. If you think you are autistic, talk to a professional, get properly screened. I was talking to my mom about 3 weeks ago now, and it's been busy. I haven't posted as much as I want. It's been busy. And we were talking about the autistic brain versus the allistic brain, the neurotypical brain. One of the hallmarks of autism, it's really hard for us to change a routine or change our way of thinking. Now, it's a known fact. We all know that the older we get, whoops, as I whack my microphone there, the older we get, the more rigid our thinking gets. You all hear the saying, old people get set in their ways. It's because old people do. Our brains, like the rest of our bodies, stiffen up and change as we age. But autistics, we have a very rigid way of thinking from a young age. We are very black and white, very one way only. Now, why is that? And again, remember, I'm not a doctor. This is an illustration for the concept. A neurotypical brain, I told my mom, think of it as being made of clay, and an autistic brain is made of bronze. Now, those are both materials you can manipulate and change their shape and reform them. But clay, even as it ages, is much easier to manipulate and change and reform neural pathways than bronze. You can do it with bronze, but it's a lot more work, a lot more energy. If I had known I was autistic before I was 51 years old, if I'd known I was autistic when I was in the Navy, I would have had a much different experience, especially after I made chief petty officer and was leading sailors. I spent a lot of mental energy berating myself for being a selfish, stubborn jerk because it took so much mental energy to shift course when our operational plans changed like that. And if you have any experience with anybody in the military, unless even if much less being military yourself, you know that plans change right and left every 2 seconds. Well, it wasn't that I'm a stubborn jerk so much as my neural pathways are very rigid and very set. And once something gets set in my neural pathways, it takes a lot of energy and effort to change it. So it's not a character flaw, it's a mechanical issue, and I have to deal with it as such. Now, that doesn't mean I can't be stubborn. I can be a very stubborn man. That is one reason I was a good chief, because I could put my foot down and either make my sailors toe the line that we all had to, or keep upper leadership from tromping on my sailors. But autism, like anything else, only magnifies and enhances the expression of things that are already in us. So yeah, I'm a stubborn man. There it is. I am. But being autistic magnifies that because the physical pathways, the physical circuitry up here is already much more rigid. So that really helped my mom. She thought, okay, that made sense to her that she could understand a little better about the physical work I have to do to alter neural pathways as by changing plans, changing routines to a neurotypical person. I can still do it, but it takes a lot more work, just like it takes a lot more work to smelt down and reshape bronze than it does to reshape clay. The other thing that came up was a friend of mine I was talking, and this was just the other day, and he was trying to understand why, when I'm in a room, I tell him I don't feel like I'm there. I still feel like a ghost gliding through the world with no actual ability to touch and contact humanity. And this hit me. I hate video chats. Now, if it's a professional setting, when I was a chief and we're doing video conferencing with sailors on the ship or other places around the world, who cares? That's professional. I don't have an emotional need to connect. But when it's social, I walk through the world and I don't feel like I'm connected. My father's from Hawaii. I've been going to Hawaii to visit family since I was, well, 4 years old. We went a couple months ago, my mom, dad, and I, because we were to lay my grandmother to rest. She actually passed back in 20, not of COVID, it was old age, but we weren't able to have a memorial service and lay her ashes to rest for 4 years because of everything going on. So we were finally able to go. My brother wasn't able to attend because he is still active duty, but at the very least, we could finally lay grandma to rest. And I came back to Florida from that trip suddenly at 52 years old for the first time feeling a connection to Hawaii and my family history on that in those islands. I was diagnosed with autism at 51, hence the name Autism 51. I go to Hawaii at 52 years old, and after half a century, suddenly I feel a connection to my family history there. I go through the world feeling like I'm talking to the world through a video chat. And a video chat, yes, I can see and I can hear, but it's a very narrow area. I've only got this little area of the camera. I can't see anything happening off to the sides. It's like having, blinders on, no peripheral vision. So a lot of the cultural nuances, a lot of the subtle social cues, those things that autistics are famous for not picking up on, I can't pick up on them because in a sense, again, this is an illustration. I've got a 2D image on a screen, and the screen is on my desk away from me. I'm not even right up on it. I feel like I go through life on a video chat, unable to actually connect with people. And that's even people I care about. It took me till 52 years old to suddenly feel a visceral connection to Hawaii and that whole part of my family history. My mom is from Louisiana. At 52 years old, I am suddenly finding myself just beginning to feel connections to my family history through her side. Because it's like I've been walking through life looking at a video camera. Video tours, online tours of places are great, and you learn a lot of information, but you don't get the experience of being there, of being connected to the place because you're looking at it through a screen. So I told my friend that this was a good illustration of what it's like for me as an autistic person, a way to conceptualize the way I feel so disconnected all the time, and it made sense to him. So if you think you're autistic, or if you're dealing with someone who you think is autistic, talk to a professional. There is professional help out there, but don't self-diagnose. And again, this is just my experience, and I think I've beat that dead horse enough. So until we meet here again on Autism 51, these are just my thoughts, my experiences, and I hope you have a great weekend. And until we meet again, go do some great things.